Hi guys, what's up? Today I want to start off this video by giving you those words: interrupt, disturb, bother, and intrude. Now, if you look up those words, you're gonna see that there are so many. If you Google those words, you're gonna see that there are so many results come up about the differences of those words. What are the differences between interrupt, disturb, bother, intrude? You can go check those sites, or you can go watch those YouTube videos about the differences of those words. In which situation you can say interrupt, in which situation you should say bother or disturb. But to me, in my personal English learning journey, I never learned English like this because first of all, it's so boring to me, okay? I can deal with, reading all the comments, all the explanations of those about those words or about the difference of those words. I'm so lazy for that. Even if you ask me like, Arjun, what is the meaning of interrupt? What is the meaning of disturb? What is the meaning of intrude? What is the meaning of bother? I can explain the dictionary meaning of those words. But I know where to say bother, I know where to say disturb, I know where to say interrupt or intrude. I know the context, I know the situation where I can say those words, where I can use those words. Because for me, in my English learning journey, I learned English, I learned those words subconsciously. What I mean by subconsciously is, if I come across a situation where I need to say interrupt or where I need to say bother or disturb, I can directly say those words. Because I know subconsciously, I know where I can say interrupt or I can say disturb. And in this video today, as I keep practicing with normal people, because you know that I've been practicing with normal people for a really long time. As I keep practicing with normal people, I want to explain to you guys how actually you should learn words. But before we do that, I'm gonna have my breakfast while watching Cillian Murphy. Then we're gonna get to practicing. I'm gonna start practicing with normal people. If you're having any confusion about the pronunciation of Edinburgh, here it is.
I was doing a play actually in Edinburgh.
I've actually told you this before, but at the time I had a therapist who looked exactly like you, and it was very weird. And I kind of had to stop seeing him because it just weirded me out so much.
I don't quite know how to respond to that.
I showed you a photo of him like 10 years
Did
ago at
you?
Inception, and you were like, you said, like maybe you were just being polite, but you said, I literally thought you were showing me a photo of me.
Really?
Yes, he looked just like you. It was so weird.
The question is why you had a photograph of me.
Sorry, am I disturbing you, Marianne? Sorry, am I disturbing? Okay. For instance, when it comes to saying interrupt, disturb, annoy, bother, intrude, I know where to say, I know in which situation I can use those words. I know exactly in which situation I should use those words, or in what situation I should say those words. There is this scene in Normal People. Sorry, am I disturbing you, Marianne?
Sorry, am I disturbing you, Marianne? No.
Now, when it comes to disturb, like, I can never forget this scene. This blonde girl, Rachel, walks into the toilet, walks into the bathroom, and Marianne, this character, is washing her t-shirt, and this character says, sorry, am I disturbing you, Marianne? For instance, I will never forget this scene because I practice with this scene. I remember every single word with stories. For instance, when it comes to saying interrupt, but I was practicing 5 years ago or 6 years ago. At this point, I lost the track. When I was practicing with House of Cards, there was a scene where for the first time I came across this expression, this word, interrupt.
It's madness. Congressman, sorry to interrupt. I saw you sitting over here.
Congressman, sorry to interrupt, but I saw you sitting over here. Congressman, sorry to interrupt, but I saw you sitting over here. I can never forget this scene. This was the first time that I learned the meaning of interrupt. And I was like, Arsen, okay, if you go over somewhere, let's say you go over to someone's table, or there are people over there and who are having a conversation, and you stop them, talk what they're talking about, you stop the conversation and you say, sorry to interrupt. So for me, I know where I can say interrupt because of the story, because of the situation. For instance, another scene where I was practicing with Kennedy, I made a many videos where I practiced with Kennedy, right? I learned English with YouTubers and I learned English with Kennedy. Now, when I was practicing with Kennedy, there was a scene where Kennedy says to her cat, don't interrupt my creative process.
Don't. You're interrupting my creative process.
And it was another scene I saw that, okay, Arsen, this is where you can say interrupt. You do something and you want someone or your animal to stop doing something so that you can keep doing what you do. So if someone stops you from doing what you do, like you're drawing a painting or you're working on something and someone comes in and stops you what you do, that means this person is interrupting you. Instead of Googling and searching the meaning of those words or trying to understand the differences of those words, differences between those words, I learn English with my scripts. By learning English with my scripts, basically I understand the situations where I can use those words. Another example, for instance, guys, intrude, right? Intrude. Now, when it comes to saying intrude, let's talk about the word intrude, okay? If you look up this word in the dictionary, you're gonna see the meaning right this, right? So basically intrude means if you go somewhere, if you go to a party or funeral or wedding, or if you go somewhere without getting an invitation, that means you're intruding, okay? Let's say you're going to a party or you're going to a birthday party or you're going to a wedding or you're going to a funeral, but you didn't get the invitation, so nobody wants you there. But you just go there, you just go to this wedding without getting an invitation, and it's just so annoying. So basically in this situation we say that you're intruding. Or let's say two people are having a private conversation. Let's say they are lovers and they are having a private conversation, and all of a sudden you get involved in this conversation. So you start to talk about having threesome or something, you start to talk inappropriately. So in this situation we say you're intruding. So the thing is, I didn't learn the meaning of intrude, this word, from dictionary. I was practicing with normal people, and this character gets involved in the conversation and says, would you like to have a threesome? And then at the end of the scene she says, sorry for intruding, I will no longer intrude.
We could have a threesome if you want.
Sorry?
The three of us could. Well, I won't intrude any longer.
You're not intruding.
So that was another scene that I learned the meaning of intrude while practicing with scripts. The first time I learned the meaning of intrude was a time when I was practicing with House of Cards from 5 years ago.
Forgive me, I don't mean to intrude.
Well, you are intruding.
Dean, please.
So that's another scene, exact scene I remember the meaning of intrude. And the reason why I never forget the meaning of intrude is because I always practice with scripts. So basically I always remember the story. For me, when someone says intrude, I remember the story from House of Cards, from Normal People. So that's the most important advantage of practicing with scripts, okay? So basically I always remember the word in the story, in the context, okay? Okay guys, so I'm gonna make myself a coffee. Alright, while waiting for the coffee, I want to answer a few questions here. Hello sir, what do you think if I use 6 minutes BBC Learn English materials? They also have video and scripts provided. Thank you. Now the thing is, not just for you but everybody who's watching my videos, I want to say that you should learn English with the things that you love the most. For me personally, I would never try to learn English with BBC Learn English because I don't want to feel like learning English. I hate the idea or feeling of learning English, you know, because I don't enjoy it. Like if I start to learn English with BBC Learn English, I will always feel like, oh, it's a task, now I have to learn English with BBC Learn English, now I have to learn English. I hate that. I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. Always practice, always learn English with the things that you love the most, okay? Make sure learning English doesn't feel like learning English. For instance, when I was learning English with friends, when I was learning English with YouTubers that I love the most, or with House of Cards, obviously I was learning English, I was studying, right? But it doesn't feel like I'm studying because I love Friends so much. So for me, repeating the characters' lines, practicing as if I'm acting or I'm getting ready for an audition, doesn't feel like work, or doesn't feel like I'm learning English. Even though I put a lot of effort into it, it's not easy, it's exhausting. You need to pinpoint the things, you need to identify the things that you love the most, and you need to then you need to practice with those things. Also, guys, look at that. Caramel. There's a streamer in Turkey. Her name is I don't know her name, but Limonify. I don't know. Her channel is called Limonify, I guess, whatever it is. She's a Turkish speaker. She's a Turkish native speaker. She kind of explains how she learned English.
How did you learn English so well? I had answered that question in detail on Discord. So if you want to get like, you know, further information, but basically I had internet friends where I practice with them daily. That's how I improved it. Because Turkish education system when it comes to languages is not the best. So that was my way of learning it.
Her English is really good, really decent. Like, she speaks really well in my opinion. She speaks really good. If any of you out there who are Turkish watching my videos from Turkey, you can go watch also her channel. You can go watch her streams where she's speaking English. She's streaming in English, and also I think she's a really good person in my opinion, because her vibe, I really liked her vibe. She's giving off this really nice kind vibe, very peaceful. Like, I feel really peaceful when I watch her streams. I don't watch streams so much, but from time to time. Before I end this video, I want to talk about one more advantage of practicing with scripts. Now, when it comes to learning English with scripts, when you learn English with scripts, you know, the most important advantage of practicing with scripts is, for instance, let's say you don't know the meaning of depths, right? Depths. I didn't know the meaning of depths. Let's say you learn a word, depths, right? For instance, where is that? Sure, the whole depth thing is a joke anyway. This was the first time that I came across this word.
Sure, the whole depth thing's a joke anyway.
Let's say you learn this word, you check it out, you look it up in the dictionary, but then you forget it, right? Because most of the time, we learn something, we learn the word's meanings, and we forget it. That's where the most important advantage of practicing with scripts come into play. For instance, you forget it, and then just in the same episode or in the next episode, you came across another expression. Sure, take her to the depths. Sure, take her to the depths. Or, how about it, Marianne? Do you fancy coming to the depths with me? How about it, Marianne? Do you fancy to come into the depths with me?
Sure, take her to the depths. No, thanks. How about it, Marianne? You fancy coming to the depths with me?
Nope.
The next episode, another thing, another expression. No one's gonna ask you to the depths. What's the point?
No one's gonna ask you to the depths. What's the point?
Like, you come across the same word more than a few times. And when I was practicing with friends, that's what happened. Like, you forget what go through means, for instance. But then in the same episode, like go through, get through, you come across this expression or word again.
Just because I don't want her to go through what I went through with Carl.
My brother's going through that right now. He's such a mess. How did you get through it?
That also helps you never forget the meaning of the words that you learn while you're practicing with scripts. And that is the most important advantage of practicing with scripts, because you learn words in a way that you will never forget, like permanently. You learn the words' meanings permanently. Yeah, that's kind of like the most important advantage of practicing with scripts, I would say. Yeah, this is all I want to say in this video, guys. This is where I wanna end this video today. It's been a fairly long video, and thank you so much for watching these videos, for watching me. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye bye. Differences of those words. What are the differences between those words? What are the differences between... Also, I just want to point out the fact that I say differences instead of saying difference. Guys, the correct one is difference. I don't know why I say differences, not differences. Differences. Differences.
Differences.